It's good morning. Good morning. How we doing, Niner fans? Good morning. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor, Mr. Rogers? You remember that guy? He was amazing. Did you guys ever watch Mr. Rogers? All right. Anyways, how are we feeling today? We woke up and there was news about an hour or so ago. I'm just getting to. I had to take a shower, wake up, eat a little breakfast. But yeah, let's talk about the 49ers signed a cornerback from he used to be on the Seahawks. He's a free agent. His name is Tre Brown. We're going to talk about Tre Brown a little bit. Julius is first of many lives today. Yeah, it's going to be a busy day today. We already know. And remember, if I say at the end of the show, we'll be back when more news comes, more news is going to come. There's going to be a lot more news today. I'm excited. And I'm in a good mood. The Niners, to me, have done a pretty solid job in free agency. I know that shocks a lot of people because a lot of people are saying, we talk about Raj not doing a good job. To me, they're doing a good job. They're getting a lot of depth. They're getting a lot of special teams players. The Niners special teams was terrible. So I don't know. I'm happy so far. Now they need to build the trenches. I'm not sitting here and saying they don't have any mistakes or they don't have any holes, and they got a lot of work to do. Niners have a lot of work to do. They got to build those trenches. We know it. DBs or not DBs, D linemen and O linemen, they have to stack, and maybe they'll do it in the draft. I mean, it's not going to be through free agency. They didn't get Joey Bosa last night, but it is what it is. He chose to go to Buffalo because they paid him the most money. And apparently, from what I've read and what I've heard, 49ers didn't really offer much, and they really weren't in the mix as much because Miami was more aggressive. But we'll talk about that. Let's talk about who the 49ers signed this morning. They signed cornerback Tre Brown. They agreed to him. According to Greg Bell of Seattle, it's been confirmed through multiple sources. Tre Brown, he was on the Seahawks for several years. He was a starter, but then they had, some really good cornerbacks at the Tariq Woolen. He was one of their top cornerbacks, and they've unfortunately, because of the people they've drafted, it's kind of pushed them down the depth chart. He's not a horrible player, but he's not like a starting caliber, type cornerback, but he's good depth. He's young. He's, not horrible, right? He looks like he could be a good value type player, like good depth piece. And you need depth, especially a cornerback. We obviously know you got Diamond Lenore and Renardo Green, but you need to keep putting guys behind him. And the Niners, they're putting together a lot of depth in the secondary. And not only that, a guy that can maybe come in on special teams, right? So over his career, he was he's had some seasons. So in 2023 was his best season. He had 2 interceptions, 5 PBUs, and 45 coverage snaps. What else are we talking about with Tre Brown? Again, a veteran, but he's still pretty young. He had 10 starts in 2 seasons for Seattle, 28 games over those couple of seasons there. So again, it's a guy that has some depth. He's familiar with the NFC West. And again, he can go in there and compete for some depth. It's not like a groundbreaking move. Again, the Niners aren't signing big time names, big time players, but they're adding some players that they feel can help their roster, and they got to fill out some depth because again, Niners lost a lot of depth pieces. And that's the thing. A lot of people are panicking, they're freaking out, but the 49ers, if you really think about it, they've lost depth players, other than Dre Greenlaw. I know Dre Greenlaw was a big loss, but I think the risk of paying him all that money was too much for the 49ers. And they've taken so many financial risks that they just said, we can't do it anymore. This year, they're putting their foot down and they're not taking financial risks. So they're taking guys that we may not know. They may not be household names to us because we don't really watch a lot of these other teams. I'm not saying that you guys don't know ball. You guys don't watch other teams. We all watch other teams. But I mean, we're not watching and knowing every single player on every team. If you do, bro, you know ball. You know ball. But I mean, there's some players in the league that we watch, on other teams, and we know them because they're like household names. But there's certain players on other teams you're like, I don't know who this guy is. So we're getting those guys. Like if another team gets one of our mediocre type players or depth pieces, like let's say another team signs, right, Jalen Moore, right? He just got signed. Or let's say Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. Other teams, who the hell is that? They don't know him. But if they sign Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, they know that. So then the media looks at, the Niners are losing all their players. Niners are losing all their players. But for us, we know losing Talanoa Hufanga doesn't really hurt us too much because we got Malik Mustafa now. He's a dog. So it's all relative to how you look at a roster. But, Tre Brown, I think he could come in and be a solid depth type player. I'm not mad at it. It is what it is. So Steven Reynolds says Tre Brown is going to replace Yadam for depth, and he's young. Bet. Yeah, exactly. You lose players like Isaac Yadam. You lose a player like Rock Ya-Sin. You've replaced them. They got Jason Pinnock yesterday. I love that pick. That guy is probably going to be the replacement for Rock Ya-Sin. And then today you sign Tre Brown. He's probably going to replace Isaac Yadam. Exactly. See, Steven, you're speaking my language. You're the man. Steven knows his stuff. So MSQ says, we'll be back with more news 5 minutes later. And we're back. Yeah. Blood Moon says, as you told Chase Sr. today, Rome was not built in a day overnight. Why are people blowing this? We all knew people. Thank you, Blood Moon. I gotta talk about this because, okay, we know Tre Brown has signed. Let's talk about the real topic. So I don't know if you saw Chase Sr. This man is freaking out. First and foremost, I know he covers the 49ers. He's a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Like, he's an Eagles guy. Of course, he's going to stir the pot. Of course, he's trying to get clicks. Of course, he's trying to get interaction, and I fell for the bait. Whatever. But this man is on his Twitter, on his social media feeds. The Niners are in oh my God, they're rebuilding. The Niners are in trouble. Oh, what are they doing? Oh my God, they need to do this. This man is crashing out. He's not even a Niner fan, bro. Listen, I get it. The 49ers offseason's kind of been like, what are we doing? That's not, everybody wants them to sign players. They don't have money. They told us 2 weeks ago at the Combine, John Lynch told us, we're not going to sign expensive players. We've done it, and it's messed us up. We're not going to do it anymore, ladies and gentlemen. And you got people like Chase Sr. Oh, my God, the Niners lost Jalen Moore, Aaron Banks, Elijah Mitchell. I get it. We lost players. The only player that really hurt us was Dre Greenlaw. But again, it was a very financial risk. And then you have people like Ryan Clark, which we'll get to, but more on Chase Sr. He's freaking out saying the Niners are in trouble. They got all these issues, running back problems, the linebacker problems. They have the worst D-line, the worst O-line. Like, those are true, but it's March 12th. It's March 12th. Rome wasn't built overnight. We're the third day into free agent. If you really think about it, today's the official first day of free agent. Today's the first day officially the league new year when free agents can actually sign to those agreed contracts. So really, we're into the first day of the offseason, guys. It's not that big of a deal. The Niners have some depth pieces. They're going to be fine. You need to take a deep breath if you're Chase Sr. and relax. They have a draft with 11 draft picks. They still have a really strong group of players. George Kittle, Fred Warner, Diamond Lenore, Malik Mustafa, Renardo Green, Dominic Mooney, Juwan Jennings, Christian McCaffrey. They got some good players, man. It's a new core. The problem is people in society are scared of change. It's just a known thing. When things change in your routine, you're a little, oh, shit, you like to have the same routine. You like to have the same people. You like to come to a place where everybody knows your name, right? Cheers. We'd like to have players that we know all their names because there's a lot of casual fans out there. I'm not going to say that you guys aren't casual fans, but there's a lot of casual fans, and they're like, oh, God, Dre Greenlaw. Oh, my God, I love Dre Greenlaw. They don't know who the hell D. Winters is. They don't know who the hell Tatum Bethune is, but me and you, we know who they are. They could be really good. Now, are they going to be better than Dre Greenlaw? Probably not, but they could be good, and they could be solid players for this team, and that's what the Niners are doing. They have a lot of young talent that sat there and rotted on the bench. It's time for them to shake off the cobwebs and get out there and play. And that's what the 49ers are doing. Get young, get cheaper. The only way to get cheaper is by signing rookies on rookie contracts. So it is what it is. You're going to lose players like Elijah Mitchell. What did Elijah Mitchell do for us last year? How many rushing yards did he have last year? How many carries did he have last year? Absolutely zero, because he's on the injury reserve. And people are crashing out because we lose Elijah Mitchell. Jalen Moore. I said this all week. Very happy for him to get paid $30 million. Guy was a backup for us, but he played really well for Trent Williams, and he earned his money. He played hard, and he earned his money. But the Niners were never paying him $30 million. Aaron Banks, $77 million. Holy crap. I mean, I get it. We need to replace these guys, and I think that's why some people are worried because we're not replacing them. But to sit here and say we're rebuilding, it's a retool. Last year, the Eagles gutted their D-line. They changed their whole D-line, and they won the Super Bowl. They did pretty damn good for themselves. It's all about hitting in the draft. The Rams, you lose Aaron Donald. He retired, and everybody's like, oh, man, the Rams are going to be terrible on defense. Their defense was good. They rebuilt through the draft. And now those guys are going to be on rookie contracts for 3 more years. And they're going to be reaping the benefits of it. It's all about homegrown talent, man. And that's what the 49ers did last year. They drafted so many good young players. And now we're going to have so many good young starters. Dominic Pooney, Renardo Green, Mustafa, Ricky Purse. Like, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I saw them last year, and I was like, I want more of these guys, right? I want more of them. And if they hit in this draft, we're fine, man. We're totally fine. So, shifting gears, we talked about CMC a little bit. I want to bring this back up because Ryan Clark this morning, and I understand what he's saying. He's Niners are they're getting rid of everybody. But again, they're not really getting rid of many players. They got rid of Talanoa Hufanga, who's replaceable. He was good in his second year, and then he fell off because of injuries. I'm sorry. Dre Greenlaw, they're replacing. That's a big loss. But again, the injury risk of Dre Greenlaw is so huge. The Niners didn't want to take another gamble. And then you have Kyle Juszczyk. Who the hell uses a fullback? I love Kyle Juszczyk. Not a big loss to me. It's not a big loss. If anything, the Niners will replace him in the draft. Cam Scatterbo. I'm not saying he's going to play fullback, but you get a guy that could come in and be another nice little Swiss Army knife type guy. He's probably not going to block as good as Kyle Juszczyk, but he can come in and play, some football for you. He's a football guy. Kyle Juszczyk was a football guy. You get another football guy. That's all I'm saying. Charvarius Ward told us 2 months ago he's not coming back. I'm not shocked. Ryan Clark is losing sleep over it, saying we should trade Christian McCaffrey. Now, here is the big question. If you trade Christian McCaffrey, you're going to have more dead cap space. You're at $85 million in dead cap space. You want to try to go to $100 million? It's not a race to $100 million. And the Niners are trying to clean the books up. And if you trade Christian McCaffrey, you're probably getting a 3rd-round pick at best, if we're being nice. He's got injury history. He's 30 years old. Great player. One of the best running backs I've seen. Fantastic. You're not getting that much for Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to tell you right now, if you get a 3rd-round pick, that's what you're getting at best. Ryan Clark wants us to, we got it. Might as well trade Christian McCaffrey. For what? For a 3rd-round pick? You think 3rd-round pick's going to make a difference if we're rebuilding? No, it's not. It's so silly. People are overreacting, crashing out. It's March 12th. It's March 12th. Julia says it's called retooling. Yeah. Exactly. Love this take, Susan. See, there you go. Julia says, I'm surprised how no one has talked about how much the Eagles have lost, especially on defense and D-line. Sweat, CJ. The Eagles is losing players. But you know what? They're going to go right in the draft and replace every single one of them. And then the media is going to swing. Oh, my God, look at what they replaced. Oh, they lost Sweat, but they replaced them. The Eagles know how to do it. They did it They literally did it last year. They lost so many players, and they revamped through the draft. Now it's time for the Niners to do that. That's what we got to do, man. Not worry about it. Let's see. Blood Moon says all our players amount with the dead cap space to Russell Wilson on the books in Denver. Think about that. It's crazy. A lot of these teams have been cap strapped, and whether you like it or not, Niners have to clean the money off the books. And this is the year. You clean the money off the books, you still have a pretty good team. Now, I think the big question is, can they compete? Can they win a Super Bowl? And people are like, oh, you're doing this. You're not going to be serious. You're wasting a year. Still think the Niners can compete. They got a relatively still good young team, right? They were the oldest team. They're shedding all that age, man. They're getting younger. And I think this team is going to be hungry. They're going to be mad next year. And they're going to be underdogs, under the radar. You know, when the Niners are under the radar, they typically play a little bit better. They play a little bit more hungry. And I think that's good. And people are going to be doubting guys like Malik Mustafa because they don't know. Fans are going to be like, who's Malik Mustafa? Who's Renardo Green? They're about to show up, man. And that's why I like this team, because the 49ers have a lot of young players that are going to be hungry to prove themselves. So you got to look at it that way. Now, again, they've added some depth, some special teamers. And that was an area, like, this is the thing. The Niners were so bad at special teams last year. And this offseason so far, their major focus has been special teams. You can't improve every part of your roster in free agency if you're the 49ers this year. You just can't, because of the cap space and everything. So they're going to have to look at the draft to fix the trenches. And what they said is, looks like they said, look, in free agency, let's go fix the special teams. In the draft, we'll go fix the trenches. And I think that's what they're doing, because other teams have done that. The Rams, they specifically used the draft to fix their defensive line. The Eagles, they specifically used the draft to fix their defensive line this year. And I think the Niners are going to do that. It's March 12th. We got to be a little bit patient. There's a draft coming up. I'm telling you, it'll all be fine when it's all worked out. I mean, at that first day, the Monday night massacre, the Monday massacre in the Bay, that was tough because it all happened in one day. It was like, so the crash outs were very warranted. I was not mad at anybody crashing out on Monday. I might have crashed out once or twice myself here. But let me tell you, man, now, 2 days later, you look back at everything, it really wasn't anything to crash out about. It's just because they did it all on one day. It was like a historical purge. It was a wild, wild Monday. And I think that's what hit everybody so hard. It was like boom, 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 boom. It happened so fast. Like every 5 minutes, you're like losing. I had to post. You look on Instagram, you look on social media everywhere. You're like, oh my God, oh my God. You didn't really have time to breathe and process because it was just like, boom, this player, boom, this player, boom, this player, boom, this player. And I think that's why everybody was freaking out because you see them lose everybody and they didn't sign anybody. You're just like, oh my God, we're doomed. Oh my God, we're cooked. But now you look about it, you think about it. So, okay, it's not that. It wasn't that bad. But yeah, on Monday, it hit us hard. It hit us hard. I know. One of my friends, she said she was looking at my page and she was like, I can see why the fans, and we had this conversation. She was like, I can see why. On Monday, she's like, every time I open my phone, I see your damn notifications go off. And she's like, it was a little crazy. She's like, it's crazy. So if you're a Niner fan, you're going to feel like, what's going on? So I understand it now. And I can see why everybody was stressed out. So Julia says, when I see a lot of people doubt the Niners in a way, I'm like, thank you for the receipts. Yes, sir. You got to keep the receipts. So, let's talk about Joey Bosa a little bit. So apparently, obviously he signed with the Bills last night. He went for the money. The reports all week from Mike Silver, Matt Miyoko, Tim Kawakami. Listen, I said it all week. I've said it all these last few days. They gaslight us, man. They gaslit us so bad. They were gaslighting us because they kept saying Bosa to the Bay. Oh my God, there's a lot of interest. Miyoko, keep an eye on Kawakami. Oh, they're working on a deal. They're not close, but it's close, but it's not close, but they're coming. And then you had Mike Silver. Oh, it's between Miami and the 49ers. Boom. Buffalo signs. What happened to Miami? And then Ian Rappaport this morning, I was listening to him. He says the Niners weren't really even in the mix. They weren't even the serious contender. So all these Niner insiders who are supposed to be plugged in with the team are telling you all these Mayoko, Mike Silver, Kawakami, you know what they did? They got to have people read their articles. That's their job. They got to have people watch their YouTube. That's their job. So we've been on it. And of course, I'm sorry. We post the news. We aggregate their takes, their news, their inside information. And according to Rap Sheet this morning, Niners really weren't even that strong of a contender in the mix. What's going on here? You're gaslighting us, man. And then, yeah, you had my boy JPA Football. Because he's aggregating news from Twitter. He saw Pretty Ricky, who has a pretty good track record, predict it, basically. So he ran with it. And then he was backtracking. Oh, the 49, the Bills came over in the last second, and they made a pitch more than the Niners. That, according to Rap Sheet, Niners weren't even in the mix that much. A little bit. They weren't aggressively pursuing them. It was mainly the Dolphins. If you don't have a source, just don't say it to have a source. It's the problem. Every day, everybody thinks they have a source nowadays. Not everybody has a source. It's okay. You go on Twitter, you copy the information, and you post it on your Instagram. That's what you do. That's what you do. And I do the same thing. It's okay. But if it's not a legit source, don't post it. But they want to be first. People want to be first. So Joe Outlaw says they're going to build the trenches through the draft. Yeah, I agree. They will. They'll build the trenches, trust the process. I mean, there's nothing else we can do. We have to trust the process. Anthony says, Raj, as a Niner fan, I'm glad we didn't pick up Bosa. I'm confident we're going to hit in this draft. I agree. I feel confident now. I do. I feel like this is the draft. They're prepping for it. They're priming for it. They're really, really focusing on this draft, just like they did last year. And they really hit that draft last year. I think they're going to do it again. And he says, I'm glad we didn't pick up Bosa. Looking back in retrospect, I'm glad they didn't pick up Joey Bosa either because he's played minimal games every year. I think what's he missed in 3 seasons, he's missed 23 games. It's a lot of games, man. Julia says, while everyone is burning the pot, giving away all this money, Lynch is simmering by cooking up something special, possibly, maybe. But he's also just saving money because we've had too much money spent, man. We got to slow it down a little bit. That's bottom line. That's it. Bottom line is we just have to stop spending as much. We have a year to catch up. In a year or two, yes, spend money again. But right now you have to be very calculated in what you can do. And again, the other thing I said the other day is I think fans have become they're expecting the 49ers to make moves because they usually do, right? We go crazy in free agency. Remember, we threw money at Charvarius Ward. We threw money at Javon Hargrave. We've thrown money to players over the last several years, and it doesn't always work out. Ray McCloud, I remember like a couple off seasons ago, it was just like boom, 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 and then boom, Hargrave. It's just Niners have been spending money like left and right. They gotta chill a little bit. I think in a year or two, they'll go back to spending and getting better free agents, but this is not the year. They got to build through the draft the next year or two because they have to pay a quarterback. And unfortunately, that changes how the way you operate your team. So it is what it is. I'm not too worried. Yeah, any case, let's review real quick before we leave. Again, the 49ers did sign a cornerback this morning from the Seattle Seahawks, my boy Tre Brown. Not a bad move. He's a good depth. The 49ers are stacking up depth, and we'll see how the rest of the day goes by. And as I said yesterday, if there's any more news, we'll be right back. Don't worry about it. So we'll be back as soon as more news drops. Stay tuned. If I say it, it's going to happen. We'll be back. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Go Niners. Peace.